Hey everyone, and welcome to lesson 1 of chapter 8, where we'll be talking about the fundraiser's mindset. Okay, sounds so cool, so elusive. What is it I'm talking about? Well, we'll get into it here. So, how many of you feel nervous or awkward right now if you were to ask someone for money? If I was to challenge you to go ask your friend for $20 for your campaign, ask your friend, hey, campaign could really use a contribution. Do you want to contribute $20 to my political campaign? So I bet some of you would think, I don't like asking people for money. Or maybe it would be, it makes me uncomfortable, it feels trashy. Maybe some of you are thinking, people will give if they want to. Maybe you're thinking, it makes me feel like Cousin Eddie. Hey, I get it, I know the feeling, and all of this stuff rings true for all of us at some point or another. You equate asking people for money with asking for a handout, or being not able to take care of yourself, not being able to take care of your own business. And I bet if you are the type of person that is going out on a limb to run for office, and that you are a pretty strong person, maybe you've been through some crap in your life and you've pulled yourself through it, and you're a pretty proud person, and you're not used to asking people for money, and you don't want to ask people for money, you don't want to ask them for help. I get it. Totally get it. I'm a super independent person that doesn't like asking people for anything. So I totally understand. So we're going to talk about how you can just change your mindset from what we're seeing here on this page, like I don't like asking people for money, makes me feel trashy, and people will give if they want to, how to really turn the page on all of that. So big breakthrough for me when I was working in politics is that when you realize people are not annoyed when you ask them for a contribution, but in fact they're honored you would think of them. So, let that sit in for a second. The turning point is when you realize people are not annoyed when you ask them for a contribution, but in fact they're honored you would think of them. So this was a big turning point for me. And in professional fundraisers that I've spoken with, they said that this is a big turning point for them as well. So the idea here is, is this true 100% of the time? Maybe not, but you want to put yourself in this mindset and repeat this as your mantra. So when I was first getting into politics and first got involved in local politics, I was helping to do some fundraising for an organization. And the fundraiser the official fundraiser for the organization that I was helping, he could tell I was a little bit nervous about it, and I was like 21 years old too, and he told me that the big turning point for him, and he had been doing this for decades, the big turning point for him was when he realized firsthand, that people were not irritated at all when he would ask them for contributions to political organizations, political efforts, or when he would ask them for contributions to other charitable organizations that he worked with, but that nearly every single time they were honored that he thought of them, that he would reach out and consider including them in this thing that he was working on. And then he said from that point on, whenever he felt uncomfortable about asking people for money, that he would just put himself in that mindset and remind himself that I'm not pestering these people, I'm not bothering these people, I'm honoring them by including them in this noble thing that I am doing. So if you can just try and think that way about fundraising for your political campaign. So I have some tips and tricks here about how to specifically do that. So how do you maintain that mindset? So when you're reaching out to these folks, make them feel like a bigwig. Like hey, like I'm only reaching out to people that I know, really have the commitment to our community, the people that, have the resources to be able to help, make them feel like they're a pretty big deal for you to be reaching out to them to ask to include them in this like fundraising event that you're doing. Second, something to also just remember and keep in the back of your mind that will help calm any anxiety about fundraising and help you maintain that mindset, that this is like BAU, business as usual. This is business as usual in politics. People are totally used to this. So this might be your first campaign, but if you're calling the chair of a political action committee in your area that's endorsed you and saying like, hey, can you write me a check for $2,500? That might be the first time you're asking for a $2,500 check, but it's like the 1,000th time that guy has been asked for a $2,500 check. So you have to, and even just casual rich people in your town that you're friends with, they get asked for money all the time for charitable organizations and probably by a lot of political candidates as well. So just keep that in the back of your mind. This might be the first time you're doing this, but this is definitely not new to people that are working in politics or more engaged in the political arena than you are. It's like super transactional, like talking about raising money, asking people for money. It is totally everyday, normal, nothing to be insecure about whatsoever. So just keep that in the back of your mind. And the same with asking people for money too, that are like really rich or that have given to political stuff in the past. They've been asked for money countless times. So it doesn't make them feel awkward and uncomfortable anymore at all either. So just remember that when you start to feel awkward and uncomfortable. And another thing to help keep you in that mindset and keep the drive and pushing through any kind of awkwardness that you might feel is to take a stroll back through the materials that we put together in chapter 2 with the campaign message. So we did some brainstorming there about like morals and principles. Go through there, and because that's a good way to remind you about like why you're actually running for this position. The deeper values that are pushing you from the inside and making you go out on a limb and do this really tough endeavor. And that will provide some motivation to keep pushing through and knowing that this is a hard part of the campaign, fundraising. It's really tough. And it'll provide you that kick, that motivation to keep on going with it. You can also turn back to some of the exercises that we did in chapter 1 where we were talking about your purpose. There's like an audio segment that I recorded there for you guys about having motivation and purpose and inspiring it in your mind. Go ahead and take a listen to that. And it should help like reignite that inside of you. Anytime you're feeling a little bit down on the campaign trail, not quite sure that you have it inside of you to push through whatever the next milestone is, always come back to your purpose and your goals. Like, why are you really doing this? What is that change you want to see in your community? If you could think forward 25 years and kids are living in your community, what's that day-to-day experience like for them? How have you made a mark on the community that makes it better for those kids? So think about those big questions and why you're really doing this. And if all that fails, you can go into robot mode. No, I'm just kidding. But it is like one tactic that I used to do sometimes. So I would have a big sheet of paper, a bunch of people that I needed to call to ask to come to like a fundraising gala that we were having. And at a certain point, you just kind of just imagine yourself as a robot, and you are like turning it on and you're just doing it. So you have the list there, you call the first person and ring, ring, ring. And then as soon as someone picks up, then like the robot goes into like excited friendly mode and it says, hey, Carol. I use the generic name Carol a lot. Hey, Carol, this is Chris from blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm doing great. Yeah. Just wanted to let you know that we're having this, gala fundraiser, and it would really mean the world to me. We're trying to get the campaign going strong, and I was just really hoping that you and Stan would be able to attend. And like, you'll have your little script of the thing that you say or whatever. No matter if she says yes, if she says no, if they need to think about it, then like that robot has that programmed response, and just like try and like feel the emotions of it just drain out of your head, out of your neck and throat and chest, and just all be gone. And just imagine yourself as a robot just needing to just get this done, just get it done, just get it done. So those are my tips for maintaining the fundraiser mindset. If any of you guys have worked in fundraising or done a lot of fundraising, and you have some tips on how to power through if you're feeling nervous or awkward or uncomfortable about it, put them over here in the comments. It'd be a good thing to share for our community here. So that's it for lesson 1, and we'll see you in lesson 2. Thanks.